At 79, Barry Gibb sits quietly in his Miami home, the ocean whispering against the shore outside. The laughter of brothers, once filling these walls, is gone. Some days, he plays old recordings just to hear their voices again, layering memory over silence. A lifetime of music, applause, and global fame, yet the brightest lights now feel distant, almost unreachable. The world remembers him for falsettos that made hearts soar, disco anthems that lit dance floors, and melodies that defined generations. But behind the songs is a story few have seen, of loss, solitude, and survival. Friends have drifted, family has passed, and stages once crowded with celebration now echo with quiet reflection. Sometimes Barry walks through old photos, tracing fingers over smiles that no longer exist, remembering moments that shaped both him and the music world. The weight of being the last Gibb, the keeper of a legacy, presses on him like the evening sun sinking behind the horizon. Stay with us, because what comes next is the untold truth of Barry Gibb's life, the tragedies, the resilience, and the heart behind the music that changed the world. Childhood and early struggle. Barry Gibb entered the world in 1946 in Douglas, Isle of Man, a small island with quiet streets and close-knit communities. From the very beginning, life demanded more than most could give. Money was scarce, and every small purchase felt like a decision weighed with tension. The Gibb family home was modest. There was little space for luxury or indulgence. Barry, Maurice, Robin, and Andy shared a single room, crammed together with their belongings. Yet in that small space, something magical began to take shape. Even amidst the challenges, the room became their first stage. Their voices intertwined, sometimes clashing, sometimes blending perfectly, but always creating music that carried them beyond the limits of their surroundings. For Barry, the voice that would one day charm millions began here, in moments when the world outside seemed cold and unforgiving. Music was not just entertainment. It was survival, a lifeline that allowed the young boys to escape the pressures and uncertainties around them. Every evening, as the gas lamps flickered and the night wrapped the small house in shadows, Barry and his brothers would harmonize. Songs borrowed from the radio or composed on makeshift instruments became a secret world, a private escape from worry and scarcity. The act of singing together was transformative. It gave them courage, taught them patience, and offered glimpses of something larger than the Isle of Man streets they knew so well. Yet alongside joy and creativity, there was pressure. The Gibb children were acutely aware of their family's struggles. Their parents had hopes and dreams that sometimes felt like heavy mountains, impossible to scale. Barry, even as a boy, carried the weight of these expectations. He wanted to succeed, not just for himself, but to lift the family from their small house, their financial worry, and the limitations that life had imposed. He understood early that talent alone was not enough. Perseverance, dedication, and sacrifice would be required at every step. The Gibb brothers often competed with each other, but in those competitions, they also found strength. Maurice's musical curiosity, Robin's sensitivity, and Andy's energy complemented Barry's leadership and drive. Together, they discovered how to create something larger than the sum of their parts. The room they shared, though small, became a laboratory for dreams, where they experimented with voices, rhythms, and melodies. Barry's falsetto, which would one day define the Bee Gees' sound, began to emerge in these early experiments. Music also became a lens through which Barry understood the world. The notes and harmonies reflected emotions he couldn't yet articulate with words: hope, fear, joy, and sorrow. Every song practiced was a rehearsal, not just for future fame, but for life itself. A preparation for the struggles and triumphs that awaited him. The hardships of childhood scarcity, long days, and the quiet tension of adult concerns taught him resilience. They shaped his determination to rise above circumstances that might have defeated someone else. Even outside the home, Barry's passion for music grew. Local talent shows, neighborhood performances, and small radio opportunities became stages where he tested his voice, learning to command attention even when the crowd was small. Each applause, even if brief, fueled a hunger that would carry him through decades of challenges. Early recognition was intoxicating, but Barry never lost sight of the bigger picture. Music could open doors that life had otherwise kept closed. The Isle of Man, with its quiet streets and modest homes, also taught Barry humility. He learned that talent alone could not protect him from life's hardships. Patience, perseverance, and careful listening to music and to people became essential. He absorbed lessons in human connection, empathy, and the subtle ways that struggles shape character. These lessons would later inform the relationships he maintained with his brothers, collaborators, and fans, and would guide his choices through fame and personal loss. By the time Barry was a teenager, the combination of scarcity, family bonds, and relentless practice had forged a unique resilience in him. Music had become a shield and a compass, guiding him through uncertainty and giving him a purpose beyond survival. The hours spent singing, harmonizing, and dreaming with his brothers in that small shared room planted the seeds for a career that would eventually transform popular music forever. Even in those early years, Barry understood something that many adults never learn, that struggle and creativity are intertwined. Every hardship became a note, every sacrifice a melody. The path ahead would not be easy, but the foundation of determination, passion, and family unity was already laid. This was the beginning of a journey where music, survival, and the bonds of brotherhood would define Barry Gibb, shaping him into a man whose voice would one day echo around the world. Early career and family bonding. In the 1960s, Barry Gibb and his brothers began stepping beyond their childhood rooms and into the small stages of local clubs, community halls, and modest shows that dotted the streets of Manchester and beyond. For them, every performance was more than just singing. It was a chance to show the world that they were not just ordinary boys from a modest home. Each song, each harmony, was a declaration of who they were and what they could achieve. Audiences were often small, sometimes indifferent, but Barry and his brothers treated every listener as if the world depended on their music. And in many ways, it did. These early nights, with their simple lights and cramped stages, were the crucible that shaped the Bee Gees' determination. Family became the heart of their strength and the engine of their creativity. Maurice's skill on multiple instruments, Robin's tender and emotional voice, and Barry's commanding falsetto formed harmonies that could stir anyone who listened. In those early years, music was not just entertainment, it was survival. Every note carried the hope of a better life, a vision of what could be achieved through talent, persistence, and unwavering commitment. The brothers learned to rely on each other in ways that transcended ordinary sibling bonds. Disagreements were inevitable, but the music always reminded them why they had begun this journey together. For Barry, the stage became an emotional sanctuary, a place to pour his dreams, frustrations, and longings into something tangible, something that could touch hearts beyond their small circle. Yet, the road was never smooth. Early success came with its own set of pressures. Money was scarce, and the realities of paying bills, supporting family, and maintaining a home added weight to their youthful ambitions. Tours were grueling. Long nights and early mornings tested their stamina and patience. Even as applause grew and recognition slowly followed, Barry understood that talent alone was not enough. Survival meant showing up every day, even when exhaustion threatened to take over, and proving that their music mattered, that they mattered. This period also instilled in Barry a crucial understanding of responsibility. Family obligations were never far from his mind. With parents relying on him and younger siblings watching closely, he felt the invisible weight of expectation. Every choice mattered. Every misstep could affect more than just himself. Yet in these pressures, Barry found fuel for determination. Each challenge, whether financial, emotional, or logistical, taught him resilience, patience, and the importance of unity. The brothers learned to celebrate small victories, a successful gig, a positive review in a local paper, or the rare moment when a listener would stop to tell them their music had touched them. These moments reinforced that their struggles were meaningful, that their efforts were not in vain. Music became their language, their bond, and their shield against the uncertainties of life. The hours spent practicing, rehearsing, and writing songs strengthened their connection. Even disagreements, often unavoidable when creative minds collide, were tempered by a shared vision. Barry understood early that their greatest asset was not just talent, but trust and loyalty within the family. Every note sung together was a statement of unity, a reassurance that despite challenges, they were building something larger than themselves. By the end of the 1960s, this foundation of family strength, relentless practice, and shared passion positioned the Gibb brothers for the breakthrough that lay ahead. The lessons learned during these formative years about perseverance, dedication, and the emotional power of music would echo throughout Barry's career, influencing both the highs and the lows of fame. Early struggles and family bonding created a blueprint for survival, not just as musicians, but as men facing the pressures of life, ambition, and destiny. In these moments, Barry and his brothers discovered the enduring truth that music could not only bring joy, but also serve as a lifeline, guiding them through uncertainty and toward the extraordinary heights they were destined to reach. Rise to fame and internal conflict. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, Barry Gibb and his brothers were no longer just local performers. They were beginning to capture the attention of the international music scene. The Bee Gees' sound was unlike anything people had heard before. Barry's soaring falsetto, Robin's tender emotional tones, and Maurice's masterful musical arrangements blended into harmonies that felt both intimate and grand. Songs like Massachusetts and Words became global hits, climbing charts and filling concert halls. Their music resonated with listeners across generations, and suddenly, the small room where they once practiced seemed like a distant memory. Yet, beneath the glittering success, Barry faced an inner struggle that few could see. Fame was intoxicating, bringing applause, admiration, and opportunities, but it also demanded sacrifices that weighed heavily on him. Studio sessions stretched into long nights, leaving him exhausted and often away from home. Even when performing before thousands of adoring fans, there were moments of quiet loneliness, a sense that he was surrounded by admiration, but still searching for something more personal, more real. The spotlight illuminated their achievements, but also magnified insecurities that Barry had carried since childhood, testing his resilience in ways fame alone could not prepare him for. Success also introduced tensions among the brothers. Decisions about tours, creative direction, and the style of their music sometimes became points of disagreement. Maurice and Robin had their own visions, and Barry, as the natural leader, often felt the weight of responsibility to balance ambition with harmony within the group. These conflicts, though temporary, left a lingering strain, a reminder that even in success, family and career could collide in complicated ways. Yet music remained their bridge. Every song written, every harmony sung together became a lifeline, reconnecting them when disagreements threatened to pull them apart. It reminded Barry why the journey had begun. A love for music, shared with family, capable of reaching hearts worldwide. As fame grew, Barry became acutely aware of the delicate balance between triumph and personal cost. Every melody carried not only the joy of achievement, but also the weight of sacrifices made in private moments, missed with loved ones, personal doubts, and the quiet exhaustion that accompanied constant touring. The public celebrated the Bee Gees, but only Barry and his brothers knew the depth of the challenges behind the bright lights. Each note was a testament to perseverance, a proof that their family bond could survive both creative tension and the pressures of global recognition. Barry's rise to fame was dazzling, unforgettable, and historic, yet it came at a deeply personal price. The stage brought applause and admiration, but behind the scenes, he navigated a world of insecurities, responsibilities, and the complex dynamics of brotherhood. Through it all, music remained his anchor, a reminder that even amid internal conflict, the dream that began in a small room with his brothers could grow into something larger than life, leaving a mark on the world while shaping his own journey of endurance, love, and identity. Peak fame and professional milestones. The late 1970s were nothing short of transformative for Barry Gibb and the Bee Gees. It was the era when their music did not just entertain, it defined a generation. The release of the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack sent them soaring to global recognition. Overnight, the Bee Gees' harmonies became anthems of an era, echoing through dance floors, radios, and living rooms around the world. Songs like Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, and More Than a Woman became symbols of not only disco music, but also of a cultural movement that fused energy, style, and rhythm in a way few had ever experienced. Barry's falsetto, high, clear, and hauntingly expressive, became instantly recognizable. It was a voice that could fill stadiums, yet at the same time, carry intimate emotion into someone's home, making listeners feel connected to him personally, even from thousands of miles away. Yet behind the dazzling lights and constant applause lay the unseen, relentless pressures of maintaining such legendary status. Tours stretched across continents, often leaving Barry exhausted, moving from city to city with barely a moment to breathe. Interviews, television appearances, and public events demanded a persona that matched the world's expectations, a version of Barry Gibb the world recognized and adored. Beneath this polished image, however, he had to navigate his own identity, balancing public perception with the man he had always been. Survival in the music industry required more than talent. It demanded endurance, careful strategy, and the ability to withstand mental and physical exhaustion that the public rarely glimpsed. The Bee Gees' professional milestones were astonishing. Awards, gold records, and critical acclaim piled up as quickly as their hit singles. Yet, even as Barry walked the red carpets and received trophies for achievements that few artists could dream of, there remained a quiet awareness of what had been sacrificed along the way. The simplicity of youth, quiet evenings with family, and moments of personal peace were often lost in the whirlwind of fame. Each concert, each recording session, each demanding schedule was a reminder that extraordinary success came with equally extraordinary costs. Even within the triumphs, there were moments of tension and challenge. As the face of the group, Barry carried the weight of expectations not just for himself, but for his brothers. Decisions about creative direction, public image, and the relentless demand for hit after hit added layers of pressure that tested both his resilience and his bond with Maurice and Robin. Fame, while glorious, had a complicated texture full of admiration and excitement, but also isolation, fatigue, and the constant sense that life moved faster than he could truly live it. Through all of this, Barry's music remained a lifeline. It was the thread that connected him to his early days, to the brotherhood that had carried him from small clubs to stadiums, and to the fans who had made him a legend. Each professional milestone, whether a chart-topping single or a sold-out tour, was not just a measure of success. It was a reflection of endurance, sacrifice, and the unyielding pursuit of artistry. The peak of fame, dazzling as it was, revealed both the glory and the human cost of a life devoted to music. Legacy, Barry learned, is never free. It comes with a price measured in sleepless nights, personal compromises, and moments lost to the demands of the world. At this pinnacle, Barry Gibb stood as a symbol of triumph and resilience, a man whose voice could move millions, yet whose heart bore the quiet weight of everything he had endured to reach this stage. The Bee Gees' era of peak fame was a testament not only to musical genius, but also to survival in the face of relentless expectation, showing that even the brightest spotlight casts a long shadow. Personal loss and emotional challenges. Fame, as dazzling as it was, could not protect Barry Gibb from life's deepest and most painful realities. The bright lights of stadiums, the roar of cheering fans, and the endless accolades could not fill the void left by the people he loved most. Throughout his life, Barry faced losses that shook him to the core. Family members, close friends, and mentors who had shaped both his life and career passed away, leaving emptiness that no music could ever truly mend. Each farewell was a stark reminder that success and fame, however immense, could not shield anyone from the inevitability of grief. In the early years, Barry had relied on his family and the harmony of the Bee Gees to navigate life's struggles. But as the years passed, the pressures of fame often separated him from the intimate moments he once took for granted. Quiet dinners with loved ones became rare, and phone calls that might have been casual conversations were replaced with interviews, contracts, and schedules. Even surrounded by thousands of fans, Barry could feel isolated, a silent observer of a life that demanded he always be on, always performing, always perfect. The applause could mask the emptiness, but it never erased it. Health challenges also added to the weight he carried. The demands of touring, recording, and constant travel took a physical toll that often mirrored the emotional strain. Exhaustion, stress, and the pressure to maintain peak performance sometimes made Barry feel as though he was living on borrowed energy. Yet, through every setback, he continued to write, perform, and share music that moved the world. His dedication became both a coping mechanism and a lifeline, a way to channel heartbreak into creativity. Songs that came from places of loss and sorrow often resonated most deeply with fans, proving that his pain, when shared, could transform into something powerful and lasting. Loneliness was perhaps the most persistent challenge. Moments of solitude that could have been peaceful often felt heavy and relentless. Barry understood that fame created a paradox. The more people celebrated his public life, the more private life slipped away, leaving him to confront grief and disappointment, largely on his own. Yet, even in solitude, he found ways to grow. He learned that survival meant more than continuing to perform. It meant embracing vulnerability, acknowledging sorrow, and allowing himself to feel deeply, even when the world expected him to remain untouchable. Every personal loss, every emotional challenge contributed to Barry's understanding of life's fragility and the importance of legacy. He discovered that enduring hardship could strengthen character, deepen empathy, and refine perspective. The grief he experienced was not simply a burden. It became a teacher, shaping the man behind the voice that millions adored. While the public saw success, records, and fame, the private Barry learned to navigate an emotional landscape far more complex, where resilience, patience, and self-awareness became as important as talent. By embracing both the pain and the triumph, Barry transformed personal loss into a quiet strength. He continued to honor those who had passed, carrying their memories into every song, every performance, and every creative decision. His music became a testament to survival, not just surviving fame, but surviving life's inevitable hardships. In understanding grief, Barry created a depth of emotion and authenticity that connected with audiences across generations, proving that even heartbreak could be a source of enduring art and legacy. In the end, Barry's journey through personal loss and emotional challenges revealed a truth that resonates universally. The brightest success cannot erase sorrow, but courage, persistence, and love can create meaning even in the darkest moments. It is this journey, the resilience, the heartbreak, and the unwavering dedication to music and family that form an essential part of Barry Gibb's legacy, a story of survival and emotional depth that continues to inspire the world. Later, life and reflection/legacy. Now, at 79, Barry Gibb sits in quiet reflection, looking back on a life that has been extraordinary in every sense. From the tiny rooms in Douglas, where he first sang with his brothers, to stages that spanned continents, his journey has been filled with moments that most people only dream of. Yet alongside the incredible highs of worldwide fame, sold-out tours, and chart-topping albums, there were personal lows that shaped him in ways no spotlight could ever illuminate. Fame brought recognition, but it also brought isolation, immense pressure, and the responsibility of sustaining a career that millions depended on. The harmony that once seemed effortless on stage came at the cost of sleepless nights, relentless touring, and personal sacrifices that few outside the inner circle could truly understand. Even now, Barry's reflections reveal the man behind the music. He is a man shaped not just by success, but by survival. The challenges he endured, the losses he faced, and the persistence with which he continued creating despite it all. His family, his brothers who shared both struggles and triumphs, remain central to his memories. A constant reminder of the bonds that carried him through even the darkest times. Music was never just a career. It was his lifeline, a bridge between grief and joy, between the pain of loss and the thrill of connection. The songs that defined him are now timeless echoes, yet they carry with them the weight of human experience, the struggles that were often invisible behind the glamour and the glitter of fame. In the quiet of later life, Barry finds solace in creation. Writing music, reflecting on melodies, and connecting with fans through his legacy allows him to transform personal pain into something enduring. The applause may have faded, but the impact of his work has not. Every note he sang, every lyric he wrote, carries traces of his journey, the victories, the heartbreak, and the relentless drive to persevere. Barry's story reminds us that behind every legend is a human being who has faced adversity, fought private battles, and made choices that shaped not only their career, but also their very identity. The tragedy of Barry Gibb is not simply in what he lost along the way. friends, family, and moments of personal peace, but in the quiet, persistent struggles that accompanied his extraordinary life. Loneliness, self-doubt, and emotional trials followed him even as he climbed to the pinnacle of music history. Yet it is precisely through these struggles that his legacy gains depth. He demonstrates that survival is a triumph in itself, that the courage to endure and continue creating in the face of adversity is as remarkable as any award or achievement. Legacy, in Barry's case, is layered. It is the music that continues to inspire generations, the voice that resonates across decades, and the story of resilience that teaches us about the human capacity to endure. It is also deeply personal. The memories of shared harmonies with his brothers, the private victories over grief and fatigue, and the reflection of a life lived fully, yet painfully. His story urges us to look beyond the bright lights and the records sold, to understand the man who made these moments possible, and to appreciate the strength required to leave something timeless behind. At 79, Barry Gibb embodies the essence of survival and artistry intertwined. He reminds us that every high is built on the lessons of struggle, that fame does not erase hardship, and that the true measure of a life well lived is the ability to endure, to create, and to leave a legacy that outlasts even the harshest storms. His journey, bittersweet yet inspiring, teaches us that human resilience and artistic brilliance are inseparable, and that sometimes the most heartbreaking stories carry the deepest triumphs. Barry's life is not just the story of a musician. It is the story of a man who faced life's fiercest challenges and still gave the world a gift that will echo forever. Barry Gibb's journey is a testament to the human spirit. Through fame, loss, and decades of relentless pressure, he endured, creating music that still resonates around the world. At 79, his story reminds us that even icons face loneliness and struggle, and that survival itself is a profound achievement. The Bee Gees' music continues to inspire, but it is the man behind the songs, Barry Gibb, whose life story carries lessons of resilience, love, and endurance. Every note, every lyric, every harmony reflects not only talent, but the courage to face life's harshest realities. As we look back on his extraordinary journey, we understand that tragedy and triumph often coexist. Barry's legacy is both a celebration of music and a reflection on human endurance. His story is beyond heartbreaking, yet it is also a story of hope, survival, and the enduring power of creativity. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Stay connected with us as we continue to uncover the untold stories behind the legends you thought you knew. Barry Gibb's journey is far from over, and the lessons it carries are more important than ever.